Hey YouTube, Repo Man 64. So many are coming around to the concept that Passover is the highest likelihood for our rapture. Um, I kind of did I wrote it backwards for the camera. I put the ND on the wrong side. Second, see if I can fix that. Does that look right? um, and I'm no different. I'm trying to figure it out. I do know for a fact that we can say it's Passover. We can look at the Jews to figure out. You can go online right now and look and see when Passover is. Um, there's going to be many that use the moon to determine when the beginning of the year is, and they'll start doing their math from there. I use the Enoch timeline. And so I'm going to go over this. There's a few things that I found that I wanted to bring to your attention and show it to you. So here goes. So you know that Jesus, on 4 days before he went to the cross, the 4 days before he goes to the cross is when they choose the Passover lamb. He rode on a donkey into town while everyone was shouting and throwing palm branches down for him to ride on. And when he rode into Jerusalem, he rode in on into the east gate. And here it says that then he brought me back to the way of the gate of the outward sanctuary, which looketh towards the east. Here's the east gate, and it was shut. So Ezekiel is seeing the gate of the temple, and he is correct. It is shut. It has been shut now for about 600 years. The Muslims rebuilt it. I believe there's only 8 gates out of 12 actually functioning, or 7 out of 12 actually functioning, and they made sure that they sealed that gate up, and they made sure to plant or put a graveyard right in front of the gate. The reason they did that is because Jesus would not walk through a graveyard to get to this gate. When they did this, what they didn't realize is that those graves that are there are going to be thrown open. There won't be anybody in those graves. I would imagine that the people chosen to be in those graves, unbeknownst to the people that chose them to put them there, are going to be the bride, and they're going to be resurrected out of there. And there's going to be such an earthquake that that gate, the east gate that they've sealed up, is going to open up, because Jesus is going to come back into that gate again before the end of the tribulation. So we read, Then said the Lord unto me, This gate shall be shut, it shall not be opened, and no man shall enter in by it, because the Lord, the God of Israel, hath entered it by it. Therefore it shall be shut. It is for the prince. So that gate is shut. No one is allowed to enter that gate. It was destroyed when the temple was destroyed, and when it was rebuilt, nobody entered that gate. They sealed it up. It is for the prince. The prince shall sit in it and eat bread before the Lord, and he shall enter by the way of the porch of that gate, and shall go out by the way of the same. So the next person that walks through that gate is going to be Jesus himself. Here's the gate. As you can see, as you can see, this gate is sealed. And in front of it, down here at the bottom, I don't know if you can see that or not, they are tombstones. These tombstones, I believe, are going to be thrown open at the end of the tribulation, and that sealed up, those sealed up gates right there, the part that's sealed is going to fall down, and Jesus will enter it again. No one will enter those gates until Jesus is ready to enter them. I wanted to point out something that I noticed here. Let me hit this right here. There we go. I thought that this event was going to take place back in 2011. I was thoroughly convinced it was going to happen back in 2011. I want you to notice that April the 1st lands on a Friday. Jesus rose on Sunday the 3rd. However, Saturday is over with. And I was talking with Three Cool Beans in my comment section, and I went searching for this, and I just found this, and I thought it was really interesting, and I showed it to him. You can see that the first lands on a Friday. He died. He went to the cross on the 30th, which is a Wednesday. He spent the time in the grave Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning he rose. So you have 3 days and 3 nights. For April 1st to line up on a Friday is very unique. Back in 2011, this was a very unique situation for April the 1st to line up on a Friday. And then Saturday, as you know, at nightfall, it becomes Sunday in Israel. They count from nightfall to nightfall for their new days. We do it at midnight, they do it at nightfall. 2011. It happens again in 2016. Did any event take place in 2016 which was pointing towards our Lord's resurrection? And it happens again in 2022. April the 1st, April the 2nd lands on a Saturday. Sunday morning he rose. Happens again in 2022. Here's the funny thing. 2011, 2016, 4 years, 2022, 6 years. You got 4 years, 6 years, and then 11 more years before it happens again. Happens in 2022, and it will happen again in 2033. So even though they've created a calendar that makes no sense, the Gregorian calendar makes no sense. It starts its year up for some reason near nothing. It doesn't come up near the solstice. It doesn't come up near anything. When winter starts, when summer, it doesn't start up. When would you start the new year? I'd start it in springtime. I would start the new year in springtime. Now, this is just a picture I took here. You have Earth, the first heaven. You have the second heaven, which is space, which is where all the stars and the planets and the sun and everything are located in. And then you have the third heaven. This is where the bride is going, the dwelling place. I thought it was pretty cool. I forget who I got that from. Notice this passage here. It says, "My beloved." This is in Song of Solomon 2. "My beloved spake, and he said unto me, Rise up, my love, my fair one, and come away. For lo, the winter is past, the rain is over and gone." Winter must pass. When does the Gregorian calendar say winter is past? Well, that happens on March 20th. And we continue. Remember, I saw this the other day. Somebody said this. I forget who it was. I think it was Dr. Barry, actually, that read this, and it caught my attention. It says, Yet their strength and labor and sorrow for soon cut off and fly away. So I think there's two events it's talking about here. I believe this is talking about two events. You have the 70 years, and then by reason of strength, they have 80 years. Yet is their strength labor, and sorrow. For it is soon cut off and we fly away. So is a part of it sorrow and a part of it strength and labor? I don't know, but there's something in there. That's what I'm going to put on the top. This is why I believe that the first day of the year is always, the last day of the year, March 16th, the day of equal parts. The first day of the year will be March 17th. The last day of the year is March 16th. This square of Pegasus can only be viewed one day a year. Every other day past this and before this, that star that's down there at the very bottom, the fourth star of Pegasus, cannot be viewed from Israel, from Jerusalem, except on one day a year. I believe this is the day that Lazarus died. I believe this is the day that Enoch was conceived, and I believe this is the day that John was born. 3 different things happen on this day. Every other day, that fourth star of Pegasus can't be seen from Jerusalem, only on the 16th. And here's my timeline. I've been working on this thing. Every time I find something new, I put it on there. Let's go down here to where we are now. We're right in here. January 28th has just passed. That's the Festival of Trees, Shavat 15. Now remember, up here at the top, you can see Nisan has 30 days in it. Iyar has 30 days in it. Sivan has 31 days in it. This is the Enoch count. It counts to 364 days. This calendar does not continue on like the Gregorian calendar. That's why the day of the week every single year changes. That's why the day Jesus went to the cross will never match. It will never match. They choose the day based on the moon. That's why when they were going into the Holy of Holies, they would tie a rope around the priests because they could not figure out, based on what they understood about the calendar, when the first day of the year was. They forgot about this. It's very simple. 5:45 a.m. is the first day of the year. The last day of winter. Spring begins on March 17th. So we go here. Down here at the bottom. Actual New Year's Eve, Adar 31, March 16th. Actual New Year's Day, Nisan 1, March 17th. Lazarus dies on this day. It's called an equilux. It's a day of equal parts. When the sun goes over the equator in Ecuador, it is not the day of equal parts. If you go to time and date, you can see for yourself that it's quite a ways off. Actually, the day of equal parts doesn't hit down there until I forget what it is, the middle of May or something. It's way off. When Jesus said, "Don't you know there are 12 hours in the day?" He was talking about the day, and they were in the discussion talking about the day Lazarus died. Lazarus died on March 16th. 4 days later, Lazarus is resurrected on March 20th. 6 days later, he eats with Lazarus. They have a meal. This is where he washes the apostles' feet. This is where she washes him with her hair. I think it's Martha that washes his feet with her hair. Maybe Martha was the cook. I think it was Mary that washed his feet with her hair. 6 days later, before the Passover begins when they choose the Passover lamb. The Passover lamb is chosen on March 26th. Jesus rides into town on a donkey while they yell at him, "Hallelujah, Marantha, the king has come." They throw palm branches, and he rides into that east gate that I showed you earlier. He does this on March 26th, Nisan 10. On Nisan 14, March 30th, Jesus goes to the cross. 3 days later, he rises on April the 2nd. He goes to heaven to get his new body. He tells Mary, "Do not touch me, for I have not risen to my Father." He rises to heaven. And then 7 days later, on the very self-same day, which is a Sunday, and for all intents and purposes, these names are just names that we've assigned to the days. God speaks in the fourth day of the week, the seventh day of the week. He doesn't speak in names of the days of the week. And he sees Thomas in the upper room. He does this on April the 9th, Nisan 24. So when is a good rapture day? Good rapture day is the day that Jesus rose. The day Jesus rose, the graves were thrown open and they walked into the city. The day Jesus rose, he walked around and he saw people. They went immediately into the city. Jesus hung around for a moment and he saw people. They weren't allowed to touch him because he had not risen to the Father yet to receive his glorified body. But he was there for a short time afterwards. I would assume that the bride is in heaven getting ready for her wedding, and the groom holds back, just like in today's time. The groom holds back for a little while she gets ready, and then he shows up, and there's the marriage supper of the Lamb that takes place. Okay? So, I think I showed you this in the last video. From April the 2nd, 2022, you have the Bible speaks of the 1260 and the 1290 days. I think that there is a rapture at the 1260 and at the very end at the 1290. Interestingly enough, from April the 2nd, you go 2,550 days. The 1260 and 1290 is 2,550 days. You go forward, and it's March 26th. What is March 26th again? March 26th is the day that Jesus rides through that east gate on a donkey. Now, I accidentally found this. This is not something that I just, like I said, information comes in, dates in the Bible, and I place it here, and what happens is it fits perfectly. On March 26th, when Jesus returns, 7 years later, he's going to return triumphantly to that east gate. Those graves will be thrown open, and there won't be anybody in there, so he will be able to cross. He can't be touching any dead body or around a dead body because of the 30-day rule on that. So they will rise, and because the dead in Christ rise first, and then the concrete that they have sealed up the eastern gate with will fall. And Jesus will go in and have bread. There is a wedding feast at the end of the tribulation. So I found that super interesting that worked out. 2,550 days after April 2nd, March 26th. Jesus comes back in 2029, March 26th, and he rides through that east gate, which is sealed up currently, and will not be unsealed. That gate will not be unsealed, and Jesus will be the first one to walk through it. And I guess we did this before. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of their graves after his resurrection. After. Jesus resurrected first, and he went to the belly of the earth for 3 days, not for punishment. Jesus did not go down there for punishment. When Jesus said at the cross, "It is finished," it was finished. It was done. The penalty for sin that Jesus went and paid for us was done at the cross. It was not done for 3 days in hell. What Jesus was doing down there in the belly of the earth in hell, he was leading captivity captive. He was saving those people. And what people did he save when he was down there? Well, he saved the people who were dead between the time of the beginning of creation up until the moment where he died on the cross. This is going to happen again, I believe, at the 1260 and the 1290. I believe there will be a mid-tribulation rapture, where graves will be thrown open and Jesus will raise those people up. And I believe at the very end, we're going to return with Jesus, and the dead in Christ will rise first, and those graves will be thrown open in front of the eastern wall, and the seal that's on the eastern wall will fall, and Jesus will go in there. And this is where Jesus answers. They're talking about Lazarus, he's dead, and everything else, and he just out of nowhere, it says, Jesus answers, are there not 12 hours in the day? There's only one day in Jerusalem where Jesus was, where there are 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night. And that happens only on March 16th, the last day of the year. And this is here, this is the time and date. Anybody can go look at it. 2022, March 16th. It is a little bit further at 5:45 in the morning is when they see the square of Pegasus. I would guesstimate that at 5:45 in the morning, that would be the moment that there will be 12 hours in the day and 12 hours at night, right there. So anyway, I wanted to bring that to you. It's really cool. I've got people that are just constantly giving me pieces of information, and Three Cool Beans is no different. He sent me that, and I was like, wait a second. Let me check when on our Gregorian calendar. I told you so many times that God is going to confound them. They're going to make all these different calendars, but yet somehow, some way, it's all going to confound them, and it's going to point directly to Jesus. And we now have the Enoch timeline pointing to April the 2nd. We also now have the Gregorian calendar pointing, by virtue of the days it lands on, to April the 2nd as well. So, yes, I think there are a few events. You have the Festival of Trees, which passed, but we have February 14th coming up. That is 47 days before the cross. Remember that 47 days from when Jesus resurrected is when Jesus ascends. So he ascends, he comes down to Lazarus in the he ascends on the resurrection day, and he does it again just before Pentecost. He does it twice. And that is 47 days. So if you mirror it, from the moment he resurrected and go back, you come to February 14th. So I think we're going to get close. I really believe that, again, I've said it 100 times, God's not going to tell me to tell you. You're going to get a dream, you're going to get a vision, you're going to see a license plate, numbers are going to line up, a child is going to have a dream, you're going to have a dream, an angel is going to visit you. Something's going to happen that's going to point you directly to this. It's not going to come from any of us. We're all the bride. We're all part of the body. And we're all trying to figure this out together, working together, trying to understand this. So keep watching, keep studying. I'm going to put a link to a Discord. It's fantastic. There's a lot of really cool people in the Discord. Busy for the Lord is in there. Wackadoodle Samoan's in there. And we get in the chat room and we talk and we work this kind of stuff out, and I don't know. Remember, go to a quiet place by yourself. Nobody needs to know, and you don't need to tell anybody except the Lord in your heart. We're out of time. For this May 14th, 1948 to May 14th of 2022, that becomes 74 years. This couldn't happen last year on Passover because it was 72 years. If it would have happened April the 2nd, it was only 72 years. It did not become 73 years until May 14th of 2021. Then it was 73 years. So we have until May 14th, 2021, all the way till April 2nd. We still have time. There's still time in there. Betty White, I said it before. Betty White passed away 17 days before she turned 100. How old was Betty White when she passed away? 99. Same thing here. Israel is a nation, has been a nation for 73 years, will be 73 years, all the way up to the point of when they are 74. That won't happen until May 14th, which is 30 days. Is that 30 days? No. March 30th. No, it's I guess it would be 50 days. 50 days beforehand, when Israel became a nation. So we're out of time. Just keep watching, keep searching. The day is coming. And remember, each day you live for the Lord. And whatever you do, live for the Lord. So, Repo Man 64, we'll chat with you later.